Hi everyone, it's Eddie here at Eddie Makes Art. Today I'm going to show you how to use two stencils to really make some wonderful prints. And this first stencil I'm using is PM Artist Studio designed. It's the Diamond Tooth stencil, and this is the 8x10, and I'm using the Golden Fluid Nickel Azo Yellow paint, and it's a transparent paint. And you see I didn't brayer it out perfectly, but it looks good. The reason it didn't brayer out perfectly is because there was a lot of crazing going on, but you'll see that later. And this is how I clean off the stencil if there's still wet paint on it. I just put it on another print that maybe I didn't, you know, totally love. So that has to dry, and that's going to dry for a little while. So I'll bring out my second plate, and this time I'm going to use the Winsor Newton Galleria paint in Rose. It's actually permanent rose. This is a very pretty color. It's a transparent paint, but it's subtle, but it's very nice. I just happened to pick up this color one day when I was in the art store. I said I want to try this brand in the acrylic. And again, I'm using the Diamond Tooth stencil. And the stencils I'm using today are both available at pmartiststudio.com. And you can save 10% on your purchase if you use my discount code EddieFan10. It's all one word, EDDIEFAN10. So you saw I picked up paint through the stencil with a piece of Carnival wet strength tissue. And now I'm going to clean off my stencil. But what I want to do is I'm going to put the stencil back on after the paint dries in a different position. So, you know, like the opposite position it was. And then come back over it with a different paint. It gives you kind of a zigzaggy kind of vibe. This is the color shift paint from Folk Art in the I believe it's Raspberry Flash. That's probably a little too much. The brayer off sheet looks really good though. And you see you get kind of a crosshatch look. It's hard to tell on the camera, but you can see it turned into like little tiny cubes all around within the design. But that's got to dry too. And make sure you let everything dry completely, because you'll see in one of the prints coming up, I didn't let the last layer dry completely before I put the pull color on, so I kind of got I get little white splotches because the paint pulled off from that layer onto the brayer when I was putting on the pull color. But I fixed it. I just took some paint and filled in the empty spots. Now that's a print I'll save and do something with it later. And we're back to the Nickel Azo Gold one, and I'm going to put the stencil again just on top in a different way. And this time I'm going to use the color shift paint in the green flash. Sorry, I'm very fussy about like positioning my stencil just right. So that's the folk art paint. Those are great. It's the Color Shift collection, and they have several different colors, and they're wonderful for the gel plate and for making really cool, interesting prints. Yeah, there's something going on with the stencil. I didn't push it down firmly enough on the plate, and it started to pucker up, but I think I got it fixed. You see there's a circle in the middle, and that's because the way I poured the paint on, and I didn't. It's hard to really smoosh around on there and mix it up, but it turns out really nice. Again, I'm just cleaning off the stencil, you know. I don't like to waste my paint. So I'm just using 2 pieces of carnival tissue that already had prints on them to pick up paint, because the paint will come through the other side of the stencil too a little bit. So now the next stencil I'm gonna use is the new one from Rhonda Dona. She designed this one coming up. It's called Dottie Miss Dottie. And so what I'm doing here for the 3rd layer is I'm adding the Dottie Miss Dottie stencil over the top, and then I'm going to use a darker paint to fill that in. Yeah, I'm fussy about the positioning. There we go. This is the Liquitex Soft Body Acrylics. It's the dioxazine purple. It's a nice dark purple, but it's transparent. And it dries quickly. That line, the soft body acrylics, they're great colors. You just have to get used to them because they do dry quickly. Fortunately, it's been very humid here, so this didn't dry as quickly as normal. But look how cool that looks. Okay, let's add some dots to this one. This time I'm going to use the Lucas Krill Alizarin Crimson. That's their studio collection. And go over it again just like I did with the last one. And you notice I'm trying not to put a lot of paint on the plate over the stencil because you don't need a ton. You need enough to get into all the spaces. But I'm learning how to control the amount of paint I put on the plate. I can be very aggressive. But look at that. Isn't that great? I love that one. Now they're not finished because I still have to put a final color on top and then pull it. And for that, I'm going to use paper. I got some paper in Happy Mail from Maya, and it's premium Gasson art paper. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right, Gasson, but it's the Yasutoma Gasson art paper, which is used for sumi painting, watercolor, and calligraphy. But I tried it on the gel plate, and it works really well. So for this one, I'm going to use the Liquitex Basics in the bright aqua green. And it took me a while to figure out what paint I wanted to use on this one because I just couldn't think of the right contrasting color to use it to pull the to pull the print, and I just said, let's just go, you know, aqua. I was going to do a darker one, but I think this one is a better color. Because don't forget, those first two layers are, you know, light pink and transparent, so I want to make sure that those show through. And what I'm using there to smooth out the print onto the gel plate is called a Baron, and these are handmade by an artist out on the West Coast. His name is Anthony Cody, and you can check him out on his Etsy shop, Cody Woodcrafts. And he turns different, you know, really cool woods into barons. He makes bowls and clocks and some other stuff too. So definitely go check him out over there. This is the Liquitex. No, I'm sorry, not the Liquitex. This is the Lucas Krill Studio Rose color. And I was doing some other prints that you'll see in another video, and unfortunately I didn't clean off the brayer well enough, so there's still some blue paint on there, but it didn't make a difference. I mean, it didn't ruin it, that's for sure. Again, this is the Yasutoma Gossan paper, and I really like it. This print I like a lot. And let's see, this is the one with the bright aqua green paint and the dioxazine purple. You see those white spots? That's when the brayer was picking up the layer from when I put down the dots. But I went back in, like I said, with some paint, with the same, you know, the same color paints, and just touched it up and looks fine. But look at it up close. Very cool, very shiny. Lots of cool textures going on. Now this is the third one I'm going to do, and for this one I'm doing, I have a clean plate, and over the stencil I'm adding the Liquitex Basics parchment color. I love how that looks, just like that. But I'm going to do something cool with it. Once it's dry, I'm going to do something cool to pull it. Now this is the print with the red dots. You see how nervous I am pulling the print. I'm like very slowly tugging at it. But it came up beautifully. You can still see that circle of the green from the color shift paint, but I like it. It's kind of grungy in the background. Okay, so for this one, I'm using three colors, the bright aqua green in Liquitex, also the rose pink, and titanium white, and I'm going to do an ombre. So I'll do pink first, and then white in the middle, and then aqua on the bottom. And the only thing I regret about this print is I didn't use any metallic. I wish I had mixed some metallic paint in with the white dots. But for next time, I'll definitely do that. If you're just starting out gel plating, these Liquitex paints are awesome to learn with. They're very, very, very good starting paints. But and they have like a wide variety of colors, and they're not very expensive, at least here in the States. To pull this print, I'm using the Carnival wet strength tissue. And unfortunately I get a few wrinkles, and I think that's mainly due to the fact that I don't have the plate on a piece of plexiglass like I do the other one. But the print turns out beautifully, as you'll see in a second. This is the last print, and thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. I hope you learned something new, and please don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment. Until the next video, take care.